Date habits no one sees, from thigh massage, therapists to sculpt your waistline. The alarm pierced through Maya's sleep at 6:30 a.m., and she opened her eyes, feeling like she'd been awake all night. Her hand reached for her phone. 7 hours logged, the app claimed. But her body told a different story. Her lower back ached, her neck felt stiff. And when she sat up in bed, swinging her legs to the floor, she caught her reflection in the closet mirror, bloated, tired, older than 37 should look. She stood, pulling at the waistband of her pajama pants. Still tight, still uncomfortable, still the same stubborn midsection that refused to change, no matter how many planks she held or calories she counted. 3 months of morning HIIT workouts, protein shakes for breakfast, calorie tracking apps, and the measuring tape showed almost nothing. Maybe half an inch. Maybe. The kitchen smelled like stale coffee from yesterday. Maya made a fresh pot, scrolling through Instagram while she waited. Flat stomachs, before and after photos, 12-week transformations. Everyone seemed to have unlocked some secret she couldn't access. She'd tried the AB challenges, the waist trainers, the supposed belly fat burner supplements. Her credit card statements were proof of her desperation. Her phone buzzed. A text from Rachel, her best friend. "Drinks tonight? Haven't seen you in forever." Maya typed back, "Can't. Early gym session tomorrow." That was her life now. Declining invitations, meal prepping on Sundays, forcing herself through exercises she hated, and still nothing that lasted. She drove to work through Bangkok's morning traffic, air conditioning blasting, her skirt cutting into her waist. The Western pharmaceutical company, where she worked as a regional coordinator, kept her at a desk most days, staring at spreadsheets, answering emails, sitting in video calls with offices in Singapore and Sydney. By lunch, her shoulders were tight. By 3 p.m., she'd eaten 2 protein bars and felt hungrier than before. By 6 p.m., she was too exhausted for the gym, but went anyway out of guilt. That evening, she drove past a small clinic near her apartment, one of those traditional Thai massage places she'd always ignored. But tonight her lower back was screaming. She parked. Inside, the air smelled different. Lemongrass, something herbal and clean. The receptionist, a young Thai woman, smiled and gestured toward a treatment room. Maya followed. The therapist was older, maybe late 40s, with graying hair pulled back in a simple bun. She wore loose cotton pants and a shirt, and moved with a kind of effortless efficiency that made Maya suddenly aware of how tense and jerky her own movements felt. The woman gestured to a thin mat on the teak floor. "You lie down here," she said in accented but clear English. "No table, we work on floor." Maya hesitated. She'd expected a massage table, soft music, maybe some hot stones. But the therapist was already kneeling on the mat, arranging a small pillow, folding the edges of the cotton fabric with practiced hands. There was something about the way she moved, calm, deliberate, unhurried, that made Maya feel both curious and inadequate. The session was unlike anything she'd experienced. The therapist pressed, stretched, pulled, using her body weight, her knees, her feet, and she never stopped moving, squatting, lunging, shifting her weight. Her core seemed engaged the entire time, but there was no strain in her face, no effort, just flow. Afterward, as Maya sat up slowly, feeling looser than she had in months, she noticed something. The therapist's midsection, visible through her cotton shirt as she folded the mat, was lean, defined, not in a gym-sculpted way, but in a way that looked natural, functional. "You do this every day?" Maya asked. The therapist smiled, continuing to fold the mat with the same precision she'd used during the session. "Every day. 5, 6 sessions. Sometimes more. And you work out? For your stomach?" The woman looked confused for a moment, then laughed softly. "Work out? No, I work. This is the work." She patted the folded mat. "This is my foundation. Everything happened here." Maya paid, left, drove home. But the image of that folded mat stayed with her. The way the therapist moved, the way her body seemed shaped by something other than suffering. That night, Maya lay in bed scrolling through research articles on her phone. Thai massage, floor-based movement, core engagement, NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. She found studies about constant low-level muscle activation, about how cultures that lived close to the ground had different postural mechanics, about how the body adapted to its environment, not just to isolated exercises. She thought about her gym sessions, 45 minutes of planks and crunches 3 times a week, then 23 hours of sitting in chairs, on couches, in cars. What if the therapist was right? What if the real difference wasn't the 45 minutes of torture, but the other 23 hours? If you've ever felt tired even after a full night of sleep, or frustrated with diets that don't last, tell us in the comments which part of this story feels familiar, and stay with us for the next chapters. Maya started small. The next morning, instead of sitting at her kitchen table with her coffee and phone, she sat on the floor. Her legs didn't quite know what to do. Cross-legged felt awkward after years of chairs, but she stayed there, back against the couch, sipping her coffee while her hip flexors complained. It felt ridiculous. She was a grown woman, sitting on the floor of her apartment like a child. But she remembered the therapist's words. "This is my foundation." Over the next week, she went back to the clinic twice more, not for treatment, just to watch. She asked the receptionist if she could observe, and to her surprise, they agreed. She sat in a corner of the small waiting area and watched the therapists move through their sessions, squatting, kneeling, lunging, folding their mats between clients, walking slowly around the space, sipping nam bai toi, the pale green pandan tea, from small ceramic cups. None of them looked like bodybuilders, but none of them carried excess weight around their middles either, and they all moved with a kind of grounded stability that Maya envied. "You want to learn?" the older therapist asked one afternoon, catching Maya's staring. "I don't know if I can do what you do. Not therapy, just movement. Ryusi Datun, old stretching. We do before work, after work." She gestured to a quiet corner. "Tomorrow morning, 6 o'clock. You come." Maya arrived the next morning in yoga pants and a t-shirt, feeling self-conscious. 3 therapists were already there, moving through a sequence on thin mats. The movements were slow, deliberate, hip openers, spinal twists, forward folds, cat-cow variations, nothing explosive, nothing that looked like a workout, but Maya's core fired within minutes. Every twist required stability. Every fold asked her abs to engage without clenching. The older therapist, her name was Siriporn, moved beside her, correcting her alignment with gentle touches. "Breathe out. Pull belly in. Not force. Just aware." It wasn't exercise. It was preparation. A way of waking the body, signaling the nervous system, activating dormant muscles before the day began. Maya went 3 mornings that week, then 4. By the 2nd week, she started noticing something strange. She wasn't hungrier after the morning stretches. She was less hungry. Her usual breakfast of 2 scrambled eggs and toast felt too heavy. She started eating less, not out of discipline, but because her body didn't seem to want as much. At work, she found herself restless in her chair. During a long afternoon call, she muted her microphone and dropped to the floor of her office, sitting cross-legged while she listened. Her colleague in Singapore droned on about Q3 projections. Maya's hips stretched, her core engaged to keep her upright. It felt strange, but also right. Rachel noticed at their next coffee date. "You're fidgety," she said, watching Maya shift positions in the cafe chair. "Are you okay?" "I'm fine, just the chair's uncomfortable." Rachel laughed. "Every chair is uncomfortable to you now. You're always moving. It's weird." Maya tried to explain. The clinic, the stretches, the way the therapists moved. But even as she spoke, she could hear how it sounded. Eccentric, obsessive, like another one of her phases. "So instead of the gym, you're sitting on the floor?" Rachel's tone was skeptical but kind. "Whatever works, I guess. But you know you can't just wish belly fat away, right? You actually have to burn calories. Maya didn't argue, but she thought about Siriporn, who probably burned more calories in a day than Maya did at the gym, just through the constant low-level movement of her work, squatting, lunging, engaging her core for hours without thinking about it. That night, Maya did something impulsive. She moved her coffee table against the wall and ate dinner sitting on the floor, a small bowl of Thai-style rice with vegetables and grilled chicken from a nearby restaurant. She used chopsticks instead of a fork, which slowed her down. The act of sitting on the floor required core engagement just to stay comfortable. And when she finished, she realized she'd eaten less than usual, not because she was restricting, but because the position itself, the slower pace, the smaller bowl, all created a natural stopping point. She stood, her abs sore from the prolonged sitting, and looked at the folded yoga mat in the corner of her living room. It wasn't a massage mat, but maybe it could be her foundation too. 3 weeks in, Maya's jeans fit differently. Not dramatically, she hadn't dropped a size, but the waistband didn't dig into her skin anymore. She could breathe without feeling constricted. When she looked in the mirror, her midsection looked flatter, more defined, less bloated. She weighed herself, down 4 pounds, 4 pounds in 3 weeks. By Instagram standards, that was pathetic. By her previous experiences with crash diets and brutal workouts, that was sustainable. The morning stretches had become non-negotiable. She woke at 5:45 a.m., unrolled her mat on the living room floor, and moved through the Ryuisi Datton sequence Siriporn had taught her. 20 minutes, slow twists, hip openers, forward folds, her breath guiding each movement, her core engaged but not clenched. By the time she finished, her body felt awake in a way that coffee alone had never achieved. At the clinic, Siriporn introduced her to other habits. After each morning session, the therapists walked. Not power walked. Just walked, slowly, deliberately around the neighborhood for 10 or 15 minutes. Digestion, Siriporn explained. Food move better. Blood sugar stay calm. Maya started walking after breakfast. 5 minutes around her apartment complex. Then 10. It felt too easy to matter, but she remembered the studies she'd read about post-meal movement preventing insulin spikes, redirecting glucose away from fat storage. She also started drinking nam bai toi in the evenings, the pale green pandan tea that Siriporn always had in a ceramic cup. It became a ritual. Boil water, steep the leaves, pour into a small cup, sit on the floor, sip slowly. The tea itself wasn't magic, but the ritual created a boundary. After the tea, her eating window closed. Her body learned the signal. At work, things got complicated. Her manager walked into her office one afternoon and found her sitting cross-legged on the floor during a conference call, laptop balanced on her desk chair. "Maya, what are you doing?" She felt her face flush. "My back was bothering me. We have ergonomic chairs. You requested one last year. I know. How could she explain that sitting on the floor engaged muscles that chairs didn't? That Thai therapists spent their entire workday in positions Westerners avoided? That her body craved this now? Her manager looked concerned. "If you're in pain, maybe see a doctor." Maya nodded, feeling embarrassed. After he left, she moved back to the chair. But 20 minutes later, her lower back ached, her core felt slack, and she found herself shifting positions constantly. The chair suddenly felt like a cage. Rachel was more direct. They met for lunch at a trendy cafe near Maya's office, and Rachel ordered a burger and fries. Maya ordered a Thai-style noodle soup, small portion, lots of vegetables, clear broth. "That's it?" Rachel gestured at Maya's bowl. "You're going to be hungry in an hour." "I'm fine. I've been eating smaller portions." "You've been eating weird." Rachel's tone was half joking, half concerned. "You sit on the floor now. You drink strange tea. You're basically turning Thai." Maya bristled. "I'm learning habits from people who stay healthy without obsessing." "Or you're just finding a new way to be obsessive." Rachel softened. "Look, I'm worried about you. First it was keto. Then it was CrossFit. Then it was intermittent fasting. Now it's a floor sitting and tea. When does it end? Maya wanted to defend herself, to explain that this felt different, that she wasn't suffering, that her body felt better, calmer, more stable, less at war with itself. But Rachel's words echoed her own old skepticism. How many times had she started something new, convinced this would be the answer, only to burn out and quit? That night, Maya bought a heating pad and lavender essential oil. Siriporn had mentioned thermal contrast, the Thai tradition of hot herbal compresses after work, followed by cool air. Maya couldn't afford regular compress treatments, but she could mimic the principle. She heated the pad, pressed it against her tired muscles for 15 minutes, then turned on the ceiling fan and let cool air wash over her skin. It felt absurd. Sitting on her living room floor with a heating pad, drinking pandan tea, breathing deeply. But her nervous system responded. Her shoulders dropped, her jaw unclenched. And when she finally lay down to sleep, her body felt ready, not wired, not exhausted, but ready. She folded her mat and placed it in the corner, the way Siriporn folded hers at the clinic. A small gesture, a closing ritual, the foundation of her practice. Would you rather force yourself with willpower, or redesign your environment and habits like this character is learning to do? Comment, which path makes more sense to you? And share this episode with someone who needs a gentler approach to change. The email arrived on a Wednesday morning. Mandatory company retreat in Phuket, 3 days, team-building exercises, networking dinners, all-inclusive resort. Maya stared at the itinerary. Late-night cocktails, buffet breakfasts, pool parties. Everything designed to break routine, indulge, bond over excess. She almost declined, but her manager had already marked her attendance as required. On the flight south, she felt her anxiety building. What would happen to her morning stretches, her floor sitting, her small portions and evening tea? Rachel's voice echoed, "When does it end?" The resort was beautiful, white sand, turquoise water, luxury accommodations. Her room had a king-sized bed, a minibar, a balcony overlooking the Andaman Sea. No yoga mat, no floor space clear enough to stretch. Everything designed for reclining, not engaging. The first morning, she woke at 5:45 a.m. by habit. She pushed the furniture aside, creating a small clearing, and moved through her stretches on the carpeted floor. Her hips opened, her spine twisted, her breath deepened. Outside, the ocean whispered against the shore. By the time she met her colleagues for breakfast, she felt grounded. But the buffet was a landmine. Pastries, fried rice, sweet drinks, mountains of food designed to overwhelm portion awareness. She thought about Siriporn's words, 4D, just enough. Maya took a small plate, filled it with papaya, a scoop of rice, some grilled fish, sat at the edge of the group, ate slowly, chopsticks forcing deliberate pace. Her colleague from accounting, David, glanced at her plate. "That's all you're eating? You're on vacation." "I'm good. You're being weird." He said it with a laugh, but Maya heard the judgment underneath. That night's dinner was worse, a beachside barbecue with flowing alcohol and an atmosphere that screamed excess. Maya sipped sparkling water, ate moderate portions, excused herself early to walk along the beach. The moon reflected on the water. Her feet sank into cool sand. Her core engaged with each step, balancing on the uneven surface. She thought about the clinic in Bangkok, about Siriporn folding her mat at the end of each day, about the quiet discipline embedded in those movements, not deprivation, just awareness, boundaries that felt like care, not punishment. By the third day, her colleagues had noticed. "Are you okay?" her manager asked. "You seem distant." "I'm fine. Just not much of a drinker." "It's not just that. You're different lately. More, I don't know, serious?" Maya almost laughed. She didn't feel serious. She felt clearer, calmer, less ruled by every impulse and external pressure. But to people who equated fun with excess, her boundaries looked like rejection. On the flight back to Bangkok, she felt exhausted, not from her habits, but from defending them, from being the odd one out, from feeling like her choices required explanation. But when she walked into her apartment, kicked off her shoes, and saw her folded mat in the corner, something settled. This was her space, her foundation, and it had held even when everything around her tried to shake it. She unrolled the mat, sat cross-legged, breathed. The retreat hadn't broken her routine, it had tested it, and she'd passed. Not perfectly, but enough. 2 months in, Maya sat in her doctor's office for her annual physical. Dr. Ananya, a Thai physician in her 50s, reviewed the blood work with a slight smile. Your triglycerides are down. Fasting glucose is better. Blood pressure is perfect. She looked up. What changed? Maya hesitated. How could she explain without sounding ridiculous? I've been moving differently, eating differently, sleeping better. Different how? I've been learning from Thai massage therapists, the way they move, live on the floor, eat smaller portions. It sounds strange. Dr. Ananya's smile widened. It doesn't sound strange at all. My grandmother lived like that. Sat on the floor until she was 90, ate from small bowls, walked after every meal. Never set foot in a gym. She tapped the lab results. This is what happens when you stop fighting your body and start designing around it. Maya felt something release in her chest. Validation from someone who understood both worlds, modern medicine and traditional wisdom. But here's what I need you to understand, Dr. Ananya continued. You haven't just lost some belly fat, you've changed your metabolic baseline. The constant core engagement, the movement throughout the day, the portion control, the sleep ritual, these aren't hacks. They're environmental cues that retrained your nervous system. Your body isn't in panic mode anymore. It's not hoarding fat because it thinks you're starving or stressed. It's functioning. Maya thought about her old approach, the extreme workouts, the calorie restriction, the guilt and shame when she couldn't maintain it. Her body had been in panic mode. Every diet felt like deprivation. Every intense workout felt like punishment. Her nervous system never got the message that she was safe. So, it was never about willpower, Maya said quietly. Willpower is what you use when your environment fights you, Dr. Ananya replied. Thai people who stay slim don't have more willpower than you. They have different environments, different default behaviors. They live close to the ground, eat from small bowls, walk after meals, maintain rhythms that their bodies recognize as safe and sustainable. You didn't need more discipline. You needed a different architecture. That night, Maya sat on her living room floor with her pandan tea, the ceramic cup warm in her hands. She thought about Siriporn folding her massage mat at the end of each session, about the way that simple act, folding the mat, marking the transition, had become Maya's own ritual too. Unrolling the mat in the morning meant beginning, folding it at night meant completion. The mat wasn't just a surface to stretch on, it was her foundation, literally and metaphorically. Every time she sat on it, squatted near it, moved across it, her core engaged. Every time she chose the floor over a chair, her body had to stabilize, balance, work in subtle ways that no isolated AB exercise could replicate. She thought about her waist. The measuring tape showed 3 inches gone. 3 inches over 2 months. Not from crunches, not from deprivation, from living differently, from redesigning her environment to make the healthy choice the easy choice. She thought about Rachel's question. When does it end? It didn't end. That was the point. These weren't temporary fixes, they were new defaults. She didn't sit on the floor because she was being good. She sat on the floor because chairs made her uncomfortable now. She didn't eat small portions to lose weight. She ate small portions because larger ones made her sluggish. She didn't walk after meals for exercise. She walked because sitting immediately after eating felt wrong. Her body had adapted, and the waistline she'd fought for years to control. It was simply responding to a life lived closer to the ground, in rhythm, with awareness. Maya folded her mat and placed it in the corner. Tomorrow morning, she'd unfold it again, and the morning after that, and the morning after that. Not because she had to, because she'd built a life where that was simply what made sense. 6 months later, Maya stood in the clinic where it all began. Siriporn was folding her massage mat after a session, the movements precise and unhurried, the same ritual Maya had watched that first night when her lower back ached and her jeans cut into her waist. "You look different," Siriporn said, not looking up from the mat. Maya glanced down at herself. She'd bought new jeans, 2 sizes smaller. Her midsection was lean, not from crunches, but from constant, subtle engagement woven into daily life. Her posture had changed. Her movement had changed. Even her face looked different, less puffy, less tired. "I feel different," Maya admitted. "Different how? Like my body and I are finally on the same side." Siriporn smiled and handed Maya the folded mat. "You want to practice? I have time." They worked together on the floor, Siriporn guiding Maya through deeper stretches, correcting her alignment with gentle touches. An hour passed. When they finished, Maya sat cross-legged on the mat, breathing steadily, her core engaged without effort, her mind quiet. At work, people had stopped commenting. The office manager no longer found it strange to see Maya sitting on her floor during calls. Her colleagues had grown accustomed to her walking the office perimeter after lunch, or sipping pandan tea at her desk from a small ceramic cup. A few had even asked questions. David from accounting started joining her on post-lunch walks. Another colleague asked about the morning stretches. Rachel finally admitted over coffee one Saturday, "Okay, I was wrong. You don't look obsessed. You look calm, and your stomach actually changed. How much did you lose?" "About 12 pounds total." "But it's not really about the weight." Rachel raised an eyebrow. "Then what's it about?" "It's about not being at war with my body anymore." Rachel didn't fully understand. She still lived in the world of gym memberships and calorie counts, quick fixes and willpower tests. But she'd stopped calling Maya's habits weird. Progress. Maya's apartment had transformed too. Her living room furniture stayed pushed against the walls. The center of the room was open floor space where she stretched, ate, sat, breathed. Her coffee table was repurposed as a low dining surface. She'd bought a futon that she folded and stored each morning, Japanese style, rather than leaving a bed dominating the room all day. Her refrigerator held small portions of real food, vegetables, rice, fermented papaya salad, grilled fish. Her pantry had tiny dessert plates and small bowls instead of dinner plates. Her bedroom was cool and dark, blackout curtains ensuring deep sleep. Her bathroom shelf held lavender oil and a heating pad for evening thermal contrast. The environment shaped the behavior. The behavior shaped the body. One evening, Maya's mother called. They hadn't spoken in weeks. "Your aunt saw your photos on Facebook," her mother said. "She wants to know what diet you're on." "I'm not on a diet." "Then how?" "I changed how I live, Mom. I sit on the floor. I eat from small bowls. I stretch every morning. I walk after meals. I drink tea at night. I don't do extreme workouts or count calories." Silence on the line. "Then, that sounds like how your grandmother used to live, before she moved to America." Maya felt something click. Her grandmother, her Thai grandmother, who'd lived to 93 with grace and dignity, who'd never owned a scale or stepped in a gym, who'd moved through life with quiet discipline and rhythm. Maya had watched her as a child, not understanding that every simple gesture, the way she sat, ate, breathed, moved, was a form of medicine. "Maybe I'm just remembering," Maya said. A year after that first night at the clinic, Maya stood in front of her mirror. The reflection showed a woman she barely recognized from 12 months ago. Lean midsection, upright posture, calm eyes. But the real transformation wasn't visible. It was in the way she moved through the world, grounded, aware, no longer fighting herself. She unrolled her mat for her morning practice. The fabric was worn now, familiar beneath her feet and hands. This mat, Her foundation had held her through doubt, skepticism, social pressure, and the slow, unglamorous work of rewiring a life. She thought about Siriporn, who'd probably just finished her first session of the day in Bangkok, folding her own mat with the same precision as always. She thought about Dr. Ananya's words. You needed a different architecture. Maya sat cross-legged and closed her eyes. Her core engaged naturally, her breath slowed, and in the quiet of her apartment, with the morning light filtering through the windows, she felt what Siriporn must feel every day, not the absence of struggle, but the presence of foundation. Later, she would go to work. She would sit on the floor during a call, walk after lunch, sip her tea in the afternoon. She would come home, heat her pad, drink her pandan tea, fold her mat. She would do it tomorrow, and the day after. Not as discipline, not as restriction, but as the architecture of a life that finally made sense. The mat lay beneath her. Foundation, practice, transformation. Everything, always, beginning and ending here. If this story reminded you that real transformation comes from small habits repeated over time, not from overnight fixes, subscribe to the channel, tell us which country you watch from, and invite someone to start this journey with you in the next story.